Welcome back to Kramer's Millionaire Maker. Here again is Hillary Kramer.
And welcome back to the show. The conversation I had with Steve Moore was very clear. Steve Moore, economist premier. And that's that there is a bubble in the stock market. It can go on, though, we think, for another year to 2 years. I want you to make tons of money in that time. But it's very hard to time the market exactly. But as long as the Fed is our friend and we follow the Fed is going to keep feeding this bubble by keeping rates really low. We have all this stimulus out there. There's all this money. So where do you invest? That's what we're going to talk about. Initial public offerings. I have a newsletter, IPO Edge. Go to hillarykramer.com. IPO Edge. We have one stock, SI. It is a bank for cryptocurrency. It is up 1,200% since we bought that stock. We have another stock, Dragonfly, a drone company that builds the drones and uses them right here in the United States. So Cameron Chell, he has been on this show for over a year and a half, and that stock's a quadruple. And we have so many of these IPOs. You want to be in them. And of course, there's Chewy. But what we really care about is looking forward. What should you be buying? And that's what we're going to be devoting the rest of the show to. And that's what we're going to be spending the next 2 weeks on. Giving you the stocks that you should be buying this coming week. For right now, though, of course, I hope you're enjoying your Valentine's Day weekend. So let's just talk about some background on initial public offerings. But again, hillarykramer.com, IPO Edge. By the time you're done listening to me, you are going to want to have an IPO newsletter that will tell you what exactly you should buy, when to the second, and when you should be selling it. And we introduce you to so many great businesses and companies. Okay, so background, right? So companies last year in 2020 raised $168 billion through 454 offerings. Okay, now in the year 1999, remember that whole internet bubble? I'm sure many of you do. We raised $108 billion in initial public offerings. So $108 billion during that internet bubble that burst in the most unbelievable, amazing way, peak to trough, down 67% on the market. And we're talking that we've raised 167 last year. And I'm telling you, there's going to be way more than $250 billion of money that will be raised in initial public offerings this year. What should you be buying? Should it be Instacart? Should it be Coinbase? Or should you be looking at getting into Bumble, which has already gotten out there? Okay, well, look, the pandemic, that created a lot of opportunity out there. We had a lot of surges in a lot of companies. What's really fascinating is Airbnb, which is a stock that on January 7th, I believe, I put into our portfolio, and I have seen Airbnb up almost 50% since then. So that's great because that's not really a pandemic stock. In matter of fact, there's a lot of resistance and issues around Airbnb, although over the long term, that's a trend, a cultural change and trend. People love to stay in someone else's home, and there's all sorts of price levels. And we've talked about this. We have James, who got a $30 a night mansion in Puerto Rico for a week. And then at the same time, you can stay in New York City and sleep on someone's couch and have breakfast there and be able to enjoy the city, or you could actually rent out a house in Aspen or Vail, for example. But the point being, there's lots of opportunities. There's pandemic stocks and there's also post-pandemic stocks. Bumble. Okay, I think shares of Bumble are something we need to talk about. I told everyone that for full disclosure, I bought Bumble after the initial public offering this week. The stock could easily go over $100 a share. It's hovering right there under $80 a share. When public at $43, that stock just jumped up. Wow. It was valued at $13 billion. Bumble raised $2.2 billion. Now, should you be buying Bumble? The answer is, again, yes. What is Bumble? For those of you who've been happily married for 50 years, or maybe aren't married, and want to know about this one, but I'll tell you, Bumble is a location-based social application that facilitates communication between interested users. It's online dating, guys. That's what it is. It's online dating, but the woman makes the first move. Okay, so for example, if I go on Bumble, I can look at people's profile and read about them, and then I can reach out as the woman and say, hey, I'm interested in you, and you can do it in many different ways, and that's where technology has come in. It can be done through video. It can be done through a nod or a wink or a smile or a 2-paragraph letter, online saying, introducing yourself and explaining why you want to meet, or it's just perfect. So I would say go and buy Bumble. Okay, so Whitney Wolfe Herd. That's the 31-year-old billionairess. She's the co-founder. She was a co-founder of Tinder. She founded Bumble shortly after leaving Tinder. The big institutional funds are going to be buying Bumble because they need BMBL is the ticker symbol, by the way. They have to buy Bumble, not just simply because it's a great company, it's a great concept. And, I've talked about how they're also into recruiting and staying in communication with your best friend and being more than just online dating. But Bumble, being a company that was founded and it has a woman CEO, you have hundreds of billions of dollars that need to be allocated to women-owned companies. And there are so few. We've only, I think, had 3 women-owned companies in the last 2 years that have gone public. Out of 400 IPOs in 18 months? Now, you want to be in Bumble. So let me just kind of give you some more interesting information because I kind of like the gossipy part of it. So Whitney Wolfe Herd, co-founder of Tinder, she left Tinder and she sued Tinder for sexual discrimination and harassment, and she settled for just over $1 million in September 2014. Oh my goodness. She's 31 years old. That's 7 years ago. So she was suing for sexual harassment at 24 years old. Well, that's a whole other issue. But we're talking right now. I care about one thing. I care about you making money in the stock market. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so amidst the media attention surrounding the lawsuit, that's very interesting. But I guess they say, what's that expression that any fame is good fame, right? Okay, so she was able to meet up with Andrei Andreev, a Baidu founder, which is another kind of dating site that's more international, and he suggested she get back into the dating space, and they formed a partnership, and then from there, that's how Bumble was born. So the company Bumble is headquartered in Austin, Texas, and I think that it's an amazing stock for during a pandemic because people are reaching out and there's relationships online, and post-pandemic, everyone has discovered it's so important to have relationships. And at the end of the day, it really is all about family. And when I try to make you wealthy, when I make you a millionaire, I'm not doing it for reasons other than only that you can be spending more time with your family. Becoming a millionaire means that you have freedom to give, not freedom to take, but freedom to give. Okay? So I just want to make that point really clear. And Bumble, you really want to be in Bumble, and they still own Baidu. And again, it's going to be a $120 stock. Now, I don't know if we have the time, but I want to talk about Instacart. But in the meantime, I'll do that. You got to stay with us because Instacart's another one. You have to buy the day it goes public. Instacart, we're going to explain all about that. But in the meantime, I want to tell you, HillaryKramer.com, or you can call. I have a customer service person who works just for me. His name is Grant. His phone number, you can call him and sign up for IPO Edge, ask him questions. Grant's phone number is 202-677-4492. So to sign up for IPO Edge, you can do it online, or you can call Grant 202-677-4492. Call Grant. We'll be right back to talk about Instacart and to talk about Coinbase and whether you should be that one too. This is Hillary Kramer, the Millionaire Maker.